buy it together. And I did, as soon as you asked me, I did reach out to him and just say, hey, is this cool with you? Because that's what you should do,
Yep.
you know. And no, he was great about it. I've known Dom since he first started comedy and first started getting into this. And I can't say one time that he's ever been negative or pissed me off or anything like that. So
He
big
told
shout
me,
out.
like, Terry's my first choice. That's a good pick. That's what he told me. So Terry, tell our viewers about yourself. Terry's also a comedian, but tell them your story, Terry.
Oh, my story. Jesus Christ. That's a whole big, what parts of my story? I've been doing comedy in South Florida since, November of 2011. Some good times, some bad times, but, met a lot of cool people and got to, yeah. And I mean, I love comedy. I just love doing it to do it. It's better than therapy. It's cathartic. You get to just get up there and get your opinions out so they don't fester inside, because that's what happens. You keep them inside and then you put food on top of them and next thing you know, you have cancer. So,
yep, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I know you are also, Dom a lot of times would introduce me at Swampgrass as a house favorite, formerly known as Terry Wayne. So I think it's fun that we have two Swampgrass house favorites on.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
I mean, I was
there.
the original, but it's fine.
But it's a hard room.
It's a terrible room. No, it's a terrible room. It's the place where hepatitis goes to die. Like you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so great of a workout room because if you can make funny there, every laugh you get at Swampgrass is worth, 2 minutes of laughter at the Improv.
1 second, Faisal. Can you turn off your camera? I'm a mess.
We're gonna see him making a bomb here soon.
Faisal, turn off your camera. I wonder if he can hear us.
No.
Faisal, turn off your camera.
Okay, I'll turn off my camera.
No
yeah.
We'll
Go make another.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hold on.
Yeah.
So
Go make another weird TikTok.
So anyway, with that said, like, I'm glad you joined me. You had kind of reached out to me before saying that you thought we would make an interesting podcast. Tell everybody why you think our podcast is going to be interesting.
Well, I just saw a lot of your Facebook posts. Sorry, my cat's trying to get in this. God, I hate this cat. No, I saw a lot of your Facebook posts and we agreed on some things and some things we didn't, but I just felt like somebody with your viewpoint and your passion, we talked a lot at shows and things like that, or at least somewhat, that I thought we would have a good back and forth, because I know you're not a person that's going to back down off her opinions, and neither am I. But I feel like we've always still been really respectful and, of each other's opinions. And I don't know, just kind of struck me one night when I was sitting there going through and saw you guys talking. I'm like, oh, shit, man, I got to do something like that.
Well, we better get to these blames so we can get our guest in. He's anxiously waiting, I see. So with that said, let's do our blames. So
blame it up.
The first one I want to talk about is, I don't know if y'all heard, but Chief Justice John Roberts ironically took a tumble this week. Who's to blame? What do you think, Terry, about that? Did you get any funny feelings about that?
Well, I honestly, in my heart, feel like it was an old black janitor who was really upset about that restrictions on the voter laws that they were taking away, so it'd be easier to oppress people. And he was just cleaning up one day and saw him coming down. He'd be like, "I'm gonna put some extra wax down, and this motherfucker's getting me."
That might be a good theory, but I think he took a tumble out on the golf course or somewhere like that, like on a golf course or on a hike or something. Oh. And where my mind went automatically, I'm like,
It was a Mexican.
He has not been ruling in our president's favor. Is it a hit out on John Roberts?
No, if there was a hit out on John Roberts, it would have been done by now. Like once a president pulls the trigger on killing somebody, that's it.
Like Scalia.
Yeah, you don't
Like Scalia.
Scooter Libby or no, not Scooter Libby. Whoever it was that they say that the Clintons killed. It doesn't matter.
No?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're definitely killing people. That's for sure. I mean, how much am I supposed to care about it? Honestly, like.
So I also read that Justice John Roberts suffers from seizures since he was young.
Well, if he didn't before, he does now.
But they did say, this wasn't caused by a seizure, so that like heightened my suspicions further. But maybe it's just old age. Maybe he just tripped. Maybe I just.
I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing out there taking a fucking hike at your age? Just sit in a recliner and yell at the television like every other old man.
I feel like the justices should just be in some, preserved room where they're like delicately handled. No one gets hurt, but at least Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I was going to say, as long as Ruth Bader Ginsburg stays healthy, I don't really give a fuck what happens to Roberts, to be honest.
I don't really give a damn about Roberts either.
The only thing that
I do like that he's ruling against this asshole.
Well, listen, I'm just saying that I love anybody that stands on principle, right? They don't vote party lines. They're not going to kowtow or kiss anybody's ass. So I do like that about the man. I'm not going to bust his chops too much, but
yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, my fear is, if he goes, ass over tits, and then and Trump, the great orange leprechaun is going to put somebody new in there. Who's coming next? Because Kavanaugh, that whole debacle with his confirmation hearing was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
And then it's like, because Justice Roberts is a little bit more liberal of a conservative judge,
Yeah. Well, yeah, he definitely leans more centrist than say a Scalia used to, or even a Kavanaugh. Which Kavanaugh, I wouldn't have hated Kavanaugh if it wasn't for Kavanaugh's behavior during that whole proceeding. Up there screaming and yelling, almost crying, talking about your father. You're an embarrassment, man. You're supposed to be a judge, even-keeled, control your emotions.
He's acting like just a regular old privileged white male, right?
He's looking like a menopausal Karen, just losing his shit up there.
Oh, damn.
One fucking motion to the next.
Later. We got a Karen segment, but all right. So let's get to the next one, because we got a couple of minutes before we need to bring our guest on. Another story that stuck out to me this week was I listen to Tom Hartman regularly every day, and he had a guest on. Her name, let me pull it up because I did save it like a good little host, Laura Starcheski, and she has a segment or a special that I just listened to on NPR about rehabs and how they are selling their patient labor and paying their patients nothing to very little bit of money to have them in rehab and working. Who's to blame for that? Do you think that is good for someone's treatment plan, or is there something else going on?
I listened to this a couple of times just because I wanted to be well versed on it.
Okay.
Well, because you mentioned it twice, so it's like, all right, well, this is obviously something that you've gotten into, and I'm sure that you're equating this back over to the 13th Amendment and using prison labor for free, basically as free slave labor, and how that affected prison populations racially. I totally get all that, but I've reached out to some people that I know that work in those industries, and they don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like I basically embarrassed myself by even mentioning it.
Right.
But well, here's the thing. I felt bad about even mentioning it because I think I came across as being, kind of like maybe they were almost offended that I was accusing them of being a part of that industry.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, no, that's not what I mean. I want your honest, and all three of them said, no, we have never seen anything like that. But
Mhm.
they all did say the same thing. They said the same thing as in like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying in the places I've worked, I've never seen it happen.
I wish I
Eh,
could have told my friend, because I did have a friend pop on. I did post about this a couple of times, like you said, and another comic. And folks in the comic world, like in the comic world in Florida, like half of the comedians are out of rehab, right? Am I right? Is that an
There's
honest
a few.
observation?
Yeah,
So, but so you make some friends that are in the industry, they're former addicts themselves, whatever. So my friend Alex Novello, also a comedian, he's like, this seems like clickbait. I have never, seen this unless it's a Christian facility
right.
or some other type of non-profit facility. And I'm just like, well, I went and I was like, yo, this is an NPR, podcast about how
Oh,
it's
it's very NPR. It's very, very NPR. It's all very hushly spoken and, oh, tell me more about this
yeah,
and
yeah,
that.
NPR
Yeah.
expose. And
What
like, I mean, I don't know if you listened to the same one that I just shared on before the show. If you want to see it, go to my
I
page.
did. That's the one I listened to.
Um,
Yeah.
the guy who was trapped in this rehab in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like he was afraid to talk to his sister on the phone. He was afraid in the front of the police, and they just, they really controlled him, but they made him go to work,
Yeah.
and I mean, as bad as he was treated, like the exploitation when it comes to labor, who is to blame for that? Is it just, the capitalism? I love to say capitalism, but or what else could it be? You know, is it
Personally, who's to blame in my
does it
opinion?
really help a program like a person get off substances by having a job?
I I'm just gonna say it. You're not gonna like it. I am blaming the individuals on this one. Uh,
Okay.
no big blame on that. If you are an adult, seeking rehab, I've known plenty of people that have gone through rehab, like you said, and
Hmm.
I've never heard of one of them being used as slave labor. And even if you were, okay, maybe if you were still on smack, I would understand it. But you're sober now, or
There's
at least.
another level, like they're easy to manipulate.
Well, but then
So
again, there has
why
to
would
be
it
at some
even surprise
point.
you that this would be done by corporations? That the
Well, who
more they get
probably
paid
have no
online in their
idea.
beds, they get paid from the government sometime online in their beds. They get court
Sure. Yeah.
orders lining their beds.
Yeah.
So why would they?
Absolutely.
They're not only getting money from lining their beds, they're getting money from these people's exploiting these people's labor.
Well, I just see it as like this: if you're an adult, right, and
Hmm.
you're in one of these programs, you're either enjoying it enough to the point where you'll go out and pick almonds or pecans or whatever in Georgia or cotton. Yeah, I think that just triggered you, to be honest. But
I bet it triggers a lot of people.
they were like, oh, they're picking cotton. And no, but if you're an adult and you're not getting anything good from it and they're putting you to slave labor and not paying you,
Yeah.
go to another one. And the woman mentioned, oh, well, 30% of them are there court ordered. Hey, man, I know about court ordered rehab. You have to go there several times to face the judge. Say something, if you really want out, just say, can I please get a different rehab? No
What if
rational
the judge
judge
is in
other
on
than
it? Let's not
Kavanaugh
act
is going to
like we
send
don't
you.
know that the judges are often in on these for-profit schemes out of not only
Yeah, but
the
you'd have it on record at least. You'd have it on court record
yeah
that you protested, and I didn't hear anything
you
about any of
protest.
that. You back to this place because they're putting you to slave labor. They're not paying you, and you don't feel like the treatment's working. You know,
Yeah. All right. Well,
because courts love drunks and they love addicts. They don't care. They do. They always, oh, are you going to get in a program? Are you going to do? I've seen so many people walk on serious crimes because they're just, oh, they agree to probation and they agree to rehab. And courts
that
love that.
I mean, honestly, that's really how the system should be. Unless it's a violent crime, you should have these less restrictive options, don't you think?
Well, I think that everything should be looked at case by case. That's why we have judges and not just, sentencers. But at the same time, to see how harsh they've been on some other people, just because they don't have the excuse to fall back on that they have a disease, it's a little, it's just a little disheartening. And I think that's where you're getting a lot of the pushback on the other side, is because people are just frustrated. They're like, oh, well, my brother didn't, his license was revoked and they put him on 2 years probation, and then a drug addict came in and all he had to do was rehab. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain, like, there's the awe factor, like, oh, you're trying to get better. You know what I mean? And it kind of makes you want to be more sympathetic as or as opposed to somebody that just fucked up, or they're lazy, or they procrastinated too long, or whatever it is. I don't know. That's
somebody gonna be profiting off their bed either way. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, yeah, that, and they test their urine too much. They specifically test their urine too much because that's where they make a lot of their money. Insurance companies.
I want to move on to the blame that you brought to me, and it's the headline, folks, is Donald Trump likes tweet about R&B star Summer Walker bringing the stripper back. What is your president doing? Who's to blame? Like, what?
Oh, he is. He's a fucking idiot.
Why did he do it? Why do you think he did it?
Why do I think he did it? I think he did it because he feels like maybe he's gonna reach out. Like maybe this is a popular person, and if he just supports them, it's basically the Kanye principle, Like if I can get Kanye on my side, then maybe I can trick these young, minorities into backing me, get a nice photo op with a couple of red hats on. Hey, yeah. Well, the reason that I mentioned it, the thing that pisses me off the most about the entire thing, with everything that's happening right now, the fact that you spent even 10 seconds to
looking at video by Summer Walker
or retweet this, like, what the fuck are you doing, man? The world is on fire.
The headline says it's not clear whether Trump is a fan of the EP, the meme, or the concept of bringing the stripper back.
Look, man, I think that Trump is a huge fan of any time that women take their clothes off, whether by choice or by force. I think he is a huge fan of it either way.
Not that I'm a fan of, not because of that in particular.
Well, congratulations. You're most of America, but myself included. And I got to be honest, like I was a Republican for almost 10 years, registered.
No way.
Oh, yeah. When
you said we're kind of similar on, I was like, oh, okay, really?
Well, I left during the birther movement, right? That 2008.
You're not racist. Great.
I was just going nuts. I was getting all this dog whistle politics thrown at me, and I was literally losing my fucking mind. I'm like, well, and I caught myself one day. I said, well, maybe Obama really is, in bed with some Muslim organization where they're trying. And I was like, what the fuck am I talking about, man? Like I had a moment of realization. I was like, I got to get out of this. And I've been a registered registered independent ever since.
You know what's crazy? I've never was registered as anything until Bernie Sanders got in. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, I'll register for Democrat to vote for him. But with that said, we are time. And since you brought up Muslims, I think that's a perfect segue for our next guest. Why don't you welcome him in?
Coming to the stage of this fucking Zoom meeting is Faisal Malik.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Faisal. Welcome.
Our resident terrorist expert.
Yeah, I've never heard the terrorist joke before. How original, Terry.
You tell it every time you're on stage, so I don't want to hear anything.
I don't have a terrorist.
Where the ice is. Yeah, I got
it.
Yeah. Do you have a terrorist joke?
No, where's the girl at the party joke? If you ever see a Pakistani comic, don't say, hey, where the ice is or something. I get what you're saying though. Haha. Yeah. How you guys? No, it's good. I'm talking politics. I'm good. I'm just trying to stay away from people. That's really my strategy, and do TikTok videos. to mix it
Yeah,
up.
I've seen some of your TikTok videos. I've watched some of those. Yeah.
Did you see Dating a Comic?
Fortunately, I missed that one.
That's my
TikTok.
It's the first thing I'll do.
It's at I Need Facile. I know you don't need it because you're always in a relationship. So, but yeah, it's at I Need Facile in case you want to check it out.
Who's always? Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you asked me what my TikTok handle is, so I just told you.
But I'm not in a relationship. I'm always not in a relationship.
No,
Yeah,
Terry is.
She's down to
I was like,
clown.
perpetually single.
Oh,
Terry's
so you think
always
that
in-
if I'm not in a relationship, then I need Facile? Is that what she said?
No. She asked me what my TikTok handle is. But okay, you can think whatever you want.
I asked for our viewers so that they could follow you on TikTok if they see fit. You know. So,
Okay.
So it's I Need Facile if you need Facile.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. It's cross promotion, Facile.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
So how have you been doing through all this, man? Being stuck in the house. Hopefully you're staying away from people,
Yeah, I mean, what I'm doing to have some sanity is because I have this type of personality where I have an addictive personality, but instead of drugs or I don't know, watching TV, it was telling jokes for comedy. But now that COVID-19 happened and you can't really go out and tell jokes, I've been running in the morning, doing motivational videos, and doing TikToks at night.
I see your pictures on your runs. I like that.
Yeah, I've seen some of your exercise stuff.
I was like, I didn't know Facile ran. I didn't know.
Yeah, I stopped doing it because I thought it'd come off as bragging, but then people were asking me for them again. So I was like, all right, I'll start posting them. And some
you have really scenic views. It's not like the same. Like with me, when I go run in the morning, I'd be a jerk because there's nothing really to look at on my run. It's just, I mean, I switch it up, but it's like a residential area. So you always post pictures of the water. It's like nice. It's like, oh, I wish I could do that.
I appreciate it. I try to mix it up of the day to post it. And then you can take a picture of the same thing, but just do it from a different angle. And it looks completely different than another picture. So that's what I kind of do when I take pictures while I'm running.
How long have you been doing comedy, Facile?
So I've been doing stand-up for 8 years or 7 with COVID-19, if you want to say that. I started because they said that women love funny guys. So I was like, all right, let me see if this theory is true. And obviously it's not because I'm still single. But it's benefiting me though, because I feel like I've gotten more confident on stage, more confident when speaking to women. Even it's helped me with my writing. Mm-hmm. So I mean, comedy's really changed my life in a sense. It's helped me with leadership too, just running shows and booking shows. So yeah, anyone that wants to do comedy, I encourage you to try it out.
Well, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So. First of all, women do like funny guys. It's just,
I know, I was being sarcastic. That's a joke.
yeah. If you get them laughing, the panties are halfway off. Anyway,
that's true.
But I have a question for you because you ran a lot of shows. You always constantly had a show going down in Miami or something in Fort Lauderdale. You ran a lot of shows. So my question to you is, through all this, have you been in contact with any of your go-to venues, restaurants? Have you talked to them? Have you kept in touch with them about what's going to happen when this starts to pull back or when they're going to start doing shows again? Because I think that's what a lot of the comics locally want to know. When do we get back to it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. That's very attentive. And I have communicated.
Thank you. I'm awesome.
Facile, I just want to say before you answer that, he was one of the ones that immediately started being safe and was like, because I was booked at the I'm going blank, the coffee house in
Underground's Coffee House. Spill the beans.
Spill the beans, and I was so
I'm not welcome there.
Finally got to spill the beans.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
that. And you canceled it because your partner is he was in the age range that they were advising and everything. So you were really good about like, I'm not having any shows.
I appreciate that. And yes, she was like on the top of getting booked for that show as a guest spot. And then this happens and I'm like, sorry. And I tried booking her 2 more times, but it just gets to the point where I'm just like, we got to wait. Me personally, I don't think we're going to have shows again until there's a vaccine, because I don't want to have a show where people wear masks, and people are scared because they're not really going to enjoy comedy that way. I'm not just trying to get a.
Have you tried to go out? Have you?
Yeah, I
gone to
disagree.
parties?
Yeah.
Have I tried to go out in terms? The only time I've gone out was to go running or to go to Publix or Costco wearing a
You
mask.
haven't hit any mics the whole time.
No, Zoom shows is where it's at for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you could.
I mean, to be honest with you, man, I disagree with that. I think that I don't think it needs to be until a vaccine, because since it all started, I've done 2 shows when everything started. You know, we had kind of like that lull and everybody thought it was going to be over, and then they kicked it back up again. I did 2 shows during that little lull. Now, one show, they did it very responsibly. This was up in Port St. Lucie at the brewery. It was outside. They spaced the chairs away from each other, brought everybody outside. You had to wear a mask if you were walking inside to get beverages or whatever. They also had a waitress that was coming out and bringing people drinks to the parking lot. And then they were sanitizing the mic between each and every act. And then I did the next show a week later, and it was bedlam. It was Mad Max times. Like, nobody was wearing a mask. Everybody was inside. Nobody was sanitizing the mic. Like, I just think it's 2 great examples of how to handle it and how to not.
It's not even just like, it's not what you think. It's not like, I went out, and I've talked about this on the show, right after Dougie Almeida announced that he had COVID on Facebook, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a show with some people that were at the same mic. And I was a little worried about the comics. After that mic, we all were exposed. It was a showcase I was in. We were all exposed because of one of my guests. It wasn't even a comic. So you just never know where it's coming from. It could be a waitress. It could be one of your friends. It's just, and it's getting worse.
Well, and see, that was the problem with the second show, was that was a week after what happened, because everybody was talking about Dougie getting it and what happened with that show. Everybody was talking about it. And a week after, these idiots were still up there at one of these mics, not taking any precautions whatsoever.
Some people just don't. They really don't care. They really don't think that they can get it or they're gonna give it to anyone. I don't know what it is, but it's just, it's every man for himself at this point, I think.
Yeah, that's why. That's why I don't even go out, because I don't want to bump into that one person that has it and just give it to me. I'd rather just be away from people and not risk it.
Getting it. Test then.
I don't want it. That's what I'm saying. Why
are you really
get something you don't want
getting it though? Do you think that if you got COVID that you would need to be hospitalized?
Okay, it's not just that, Terry. It's that if you get COVID-19, you're stuck at home for 2 weeks. You're going to give other people that if you hang out with them. Right. Why do that if you can avoid it? It's like, why touch a burning oven if you can not do it?
Yeah.
Right.
In all honesty, if I could have gotten this right in the beginning, optionally, I would have taken it, because we've already been in stuff.
Terry, it doesn't make any difference if you would have had it before. People get it again. They think that the antibodies only last a little while, and then. Yeah. Well,
I mean, I haven't heard that much about it. I'm still under the impression that, once you get it, that's it. Your immune system's aware of it. But again, I haven't seen anything new as far as research goes. I mean, we're still learning about this as we go along. That's the thing and that's the problem, is whenever somebody has an argument about COVID, they've got different facts. They've got facts from a month ago, or they've got facts from yesterday, and we just keep going around. First, it's no masks. Then it's masks, then it's staying home, then it's social distancing, then it's, you know what I mean? And we just keep going along.
So let me ask you guys both this. Faisal, I know you said you've been not going out, you've been staying home. Have you been socializing at all with anyone? Do you have family here? Have you been seeing them?
I'll talk to people on the phone or through Zoom. That's pretty much it. I haven't really hung out with anybody because of this. And it's so weird too, not hanging out with people at all when, as you know, as comedians, we're social creatures for the most part. We go out, we're always talking to people or venue owners in my case, and other comedy fans. Now it's like I'm just like a routine running TikTok videos, work, write jokes, and sleep. And I started writing jokes 2 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's hard. But okay, the reason why I do it is I heard Ted Alexandro say this in a podcast. The first hour, you're not going to get anything out of it. You're just sitting in front of that paper and just thinking. Like, you can't look at social media or be distracted for this to work. But the next hour, that's when you start getting your creative juices flowing and your good comedy will start coming out.
Terry, have you been writing?
Well, yeah, I've been writing some. I can't write like that, so I can't relate to that at all. Sit down and write and be like, okay, I'm going to write some comedy. You know what I mean? Like,
It's hard.
I can't, well, no, I just, it's not genuine. I can write something, but it never works because it's forced. Well, I'm forcing.
If I sit down and write, it's to revise what I've already come up with, but my writing consists of like, I'm watching something or doing something and an idea comes to me. Oh, I'm gonna write that down and put that in my notes. So I can do that, perform that next time I go, or just work on the joke, like tighten it up, if you will.
You know what the catch-22 is, though? The catch-22 about it is I've always felt like comedy comes from experience, right? You're out in the world, you're meeting people, you're getting into situations, you're having experiences, and those experiences, you can look at it one way or the other. You can have your 15 degrees off normal, and that'll give you an idea about like, oh, I got to tell a story about this weirdo, or I got to talk about this issue, and we're just not getting any of that stimuli coming in right now, because everybody, if they're doing what they should be doing, at least, you're not having those experiences, and that's where my shit always came from. So the well's a little dry because I can't just be like, I can't just sit down and write like, oh, Mondays are a bummer or whatever, like I can't just come up with something, a topic, and then try to make it funny. It has to be something at least partly real for me to get rolling.
So,
yeah, we have different styles of comedy. I'm like more like into words. Yeah. And like that's probably why I write so much, is because like words are important for me in terms of my jokes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's got their own way of looking at it, their own style. Yeah, for sure. And you definitely have a lot of wordplay in there. So I could see how, you just keep writing and then at the end you sift it all out,
Exactly.
So Faisal, what's your most proud moment as a comedian?
My most proud moment as a comedian was placing into the finals for Ultimate Miami Comedian. That was probably the toughest because it was between me and Nadeem, and I thought Nadeem had it. And then they called my name, and I had like this loudest yell that you could have heard in Fort Lauderdale. Like, it was pretty loud, and I was just like, but I mean, it's just a contest, so it doesn't mean you're funnier than the other person, because comedy contests are subjective. But I just worked so hard to get to that point every show, doing that same set and just tweaking it so that by the time I got to the contest, I had it down with my eyes closed, being able to rehearse it.
Your like hard work and your writing was paying off.
Exactly, because it was a 3-minute set. So in a 3-minute set, every word and pausing is important, and if you mess up, it gets noticed in a 3-minute set.
3-minute sets are fucking hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you do a small set like that, you got to really concentrate your shit down to the absolute best material, But
I can't even get through Becky Keisha in 3 like in 3 minutes. Like that's like some of my best stuff, but I don't know if I could condense it to 3 minutes. But
I got a question for Faisal.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or are you also having trouble concentrating with the cleavage that Gio is kicking out to everybody right now?
Deal with it.
I'm looking at her eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, Terry. I have no idea what Terry's talking about, Gio.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm completely crazy.
Watch. It's not. They're not.
That's a funny joke, Terry.
Hey, no, you're looking good. I'm not shaming. You're looking good. All right. I'm just saying it's a bit distracting. That's all.
People to pay attention somehow. So
Yeah, exactly.
everyone's so toxic, you know.
Yeah.
Actually,
You look like you just moisturized. You got a good sheen about you.
It's the sunset. It's the
Is
sunset.
that what it is?
So Gio, I was gonna tell you about the 3-minute set. It's not just words that can get laughs. A look can get laughs, and
Yeah.
to help your set.
You know, when I took Richie's class, and Richie teaches the 3-minute set, and I think after I took Richie's class, what was hard for me with the 3-minute set and doing it is I tend to get unnatural. I get rehearsed. I get very like and people prefer my comedy to come like naturally. They're like, just talk to us. So that's hard to do and keep it tight, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be thinking, but that, I mean, not to say it can't be done, you know? You can be natural, be tight, and be funny, I think. So guys, I think it's just about time for the blame game. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's blame some stuff.
So I was having a tough time with what I wanted to talk about because I know you like politics, but I wanted to keep it light and funny, and I'm blanking. Oh my God.
Get your notes.
I don't think I wrote it down because I was like I said, it took me a while before I was like, I want to do this, and I didn't write it down. And why did I even transition? I had it in my head. Terry, help me. And I didn't tell you what it was.
Was it the answer?
No.
Was it the Washington Redskins?
It was that Fassel.
I'll tell you what, Fassel.
I know what it was. Fassel's very popular. Who's to blame? You got a lot of followers.
Me? Oh, I guess I put the content I put out is to blame because, like Terry says, people want to see what weird thing is coming up next. So that's really what it is.
Yeah, because they don't know that this is an act that you're doing to be weird on purpose to get people. You're like one of these guys.
It's an act?
It is an act. I'm not really that weird.
He's like one of these guys on YouTube that'll sit in a fucking bathtub and pour Skittles all over himself just to get 1 million views. He knows what he's doing.
He's like Borat, right?
Yeah, no, even Borat was obviously a fucking character. He is so ingrained in this that even people that have known him for years are watching this going, yeah, that's just Fassel. Like, man, I know what the fuck you're up to.
That's why I did this video for Terry.
So but why do you think he has so many followers? Like, what's the deal? Like,
wouldn't you follow it? Some fucking weirdo talking weird. Like he did the. What was that? The TikTok video where you're supposed to do it with a girl where you start with the push and the breakfast like, yeah, and all that, and then this idiot goes on there and does it by himself with nobody.
Oh my God.
It's a social distancing, Terry. That's why. It's COVID-19. I'm not trying to give anyone the virus or get the virus from anybody.
How many followers you got on TikTok?
My followers are like maybe 72 or 60 something. My views, though, I have 70,000 views on a video about the national anthem.
Wow. What did you have to say about the national anthem?
So I got it. The way to stop NFL players from kneeling during the national anthem is to put their girlfriends in front of them.
Yeah, what does that mean?
That's good.
They were getting mad at me too. I was having Trump supporters come agree with me, and then the other side was hating on me. And I'm like, I'm a comedian. I tell jokes. They're like, don't quit your day job.
It's a very funny joke. That's very good.
Yeah, thanks.
That could be interpreted a couple different ways. So answer this, because I thought about it and I was like,
they don't want to propose to their girlfriends, clearly. So they
and NFL players cheat too is another thing I'm throwing in there.
I thought you were saying something about men not going down on women. That was my first thought. Was like, if they stood in front of them, like, get that, away from my face. And then my second thought was like, don't propose, kind of a thing. But that's where my
propose is more likely.
Yeah. No, I know.
Exactly.
I got a dirty mind. What do you want?
But not to worry, Faisal. I have a couple. I know, like the blame game. I like it to be fun, but I rarely get a guest that likes talking politics, which I know you do. So we're gonna talk a little politics.
Okay.
This week we're gonna have a Karen/Kyle segment, and we're gonna talk about some Karen/Kyle issues.
Sure.
So I don't know if you guys remember the bird watcher in New York, who the Karen called the police on him, weaponized the police totally, said, "I'm gonna call the police and tell them a black man, blah 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 blah." Well, I'm reading this week that he will not cooperate with the Manhattan DA and prosecute this lady who threatened to weaponize the police on him.
I love it.
Yeah, like, who's to blame? Why are you doing that, dude? Why aren't you making her, stick it to her? Like, make her face charges.
I'll tell you why. It's an integrity move. I read that whole article and I read his quotes, and I think it's an integrity move. I think it's a class move. He basically says, yeah, she treated me wrong, but she's been punished enough. That's it. And to quote him, he said, it just feels like piling on now. And he's like, if the DA wants to prosecute him, let her prosecute her, but I'm not going to be a part of it because he feels like that justice has been done. So he's backing off. I love the guy for it.
Do you think it's like, I mean, I know what he said, but is it like a fuck the police thing? Like, I'm not helping the goddamn police prosecute anybody.
No, I think it's, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Faisal.
I think he was able to watch all the birds he wanted to at that point, and she doesn't have a dog to put a leash on at this point, so he doesn't have to worry about that problem ever happening again.
Like,
so
problem solved. I'm not cooperating.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if it was me, I don't know if I would have made an integrity move like that. A spiteful side of me might be like, nah, let's get that bitch in jail for some time, just so she, kind of gets it a little better. But I thought it was a real class move to just be like, yeah, you've been nationally embarrassed. I don't think you're
appropriately shook by the incident. Like, let her out.
Well, I'm sure she's gonna cry like, oh, PTSD, and I'm getting
weaponize the police against black folks again.
Yeah, I think she'll think twice before she calls the cops on a black man again. I think that's the real lesson that we should have.
I don't think she'll ever go to a park again. She's too traumatized by that experience.
She gave away her dog.
Yeah.
I'll read the quotes because I have the article right here. He says, on one hand, she's already paid a steep price. And about, prosecuting her, that's not enough of a deterrent to others. Bringing her more misery seems just like piling it on, like you said, Terry.
Yeah.
So if the DA feels the need to pursue charges, he should pursue charges, but he can do it without me. That was like, wow.
That's a class move right there, man.
Yeah, I gotta say.
You know what? You know what that was? That was some Michelle Obama shit right there. When they go low, we go high. That's what that was. That was like, you've been embarrassed. You've been on the news all week. That's enough.
Terry, I'll let you talk about our Kyle segment because you brought this one to me about the CEO.
Oh, this is great. I love this. I love this story. Because not only that, it's got real effect to my own life when it comes to people carrying guns. Anybody who knows me knows that I was raised with guns. I was raised by a father who was about hunting and fishing and, frontiersmanship and all that. So I was always raised and trained from a young age with guns. Now, I only have one in my house right now, but that's just because I still like doing sporting clays and whatnot. So I keep a shotgun still in my house. But the people who carry them around with them, these people are fucking lunatics, man. And something needs to be done about it because they carry them around thinking, well, in case something bad happens, I'll have this thing. They don't think about it logically and say, if I have a gun on me, the best case scenario is that I'm in a firefight at the end of this and maybe I win,
Tell them what happened. Tell them what we're talking
about. A CEO of a energy company was at his house in Colorado. A young Hispanic couple was going to, of all fucking things, a wedding rehearsal dinner. So they were already miserable because there's nothing good that comes from a wedding rehearsal dinner. You don't even get the reception or the party or any of that shit. It's a dress rehearsal for somebody else's magic day. Like nobody on their way there, they get turned around on MapQuest, which who uses MapQuest anymore? And they have to pull into this guy's drive and then go to turn around. When they go to turn around, he comes running out of the house with a fucking gun because they pulled into his drive. And thankfully, and I don't know if this is because of everything that's been going on or maybe people are just waking up, but they actually had the right to charge him with brandishing a weapon at them because technically where they pulled into wasn't private property. So now he's just a maniac chasing them with a fucking gun while they're on their way to a rehearsal dinner.
I blame MapQuest. Clearly is the offender here.
Conspiracy.
That's nuts. I've never heard of such a thing.
I blame loose gun laws. And again, in this particular case, they didn't file charges with the county sheriff against him. Why? Because it's a class move. But I think they definitely should have in that case because this story isn't getting much play. He's never going to learn his lesson. He's just going to do it with the next black mailman that comes down the road.
I blame this guy's mother for not having an abortion.
Fassel.
Wow. God damn, Fassel.
That would have solved that problem right there.
Holy shit.
Well,
I mean,
a little dark humor for you, Terry.
Stay out of my lane, all right?
Fassel, you got any Karen or Kyle stories that stuck out to you this week? It seems like there's more and more every week.
I try to stay away from Kyle's and Karen's, so I don't really have those type of stories, unfortunately.
Well, not personally, but did any in the news stick out to you?
Oh, yeah, no, okay. I've stopped even paying attention to politics at this point. When Ron DeSantis is on like the Facebook Live, I get off Facebook. It's just, I feel like with politics, they just lie. Everything they say is a constant lie on both sides. And I just don't want to hear it anymore. I mean, I've had it. Yeah. That's why I do TikTok so much, Terry. That helps me forget about politics. Oh,
whatever helps.
To balance your mental health out, you just stay on TikTok.
No, if you go on TikTok, you'll see a lot of politics, actually. You'll see an awful lot of politics.
That's the same reason I smoke weed. It doesn't matter after that. Once you get high, politics don't matter anymore.
So, I guess that brings us to our last segment. Now, Dom, our former host, had a mansplain segment, and Terry, he wants to do a white guy segment.
That's right. Well, you know, first of all, I didn't want to step on Dom's toes by doing another mansplaining session. Second of all, I can really only speak for myself and my own personal experiences and be honest at the same time. So, this is words from white guys. I love
it.
That's right. Just words from white guys, just middle-aged, divorced white guys like myself. And I love their anger. You know, I love when they get frustrated and angry about something because they feel like they're under attack. You know, like I love when they say like Christmas is under attack or it's a war on Christmas. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. I know Jews that celebrate Christmas. That's how popular it is. But I don't want to get off on a tangent. The words from the white guys this week is the anti-maskers. You're right. These people that are just so anti-mask, they can't even stand it. It's not about the mask for them.
They're about to
it never has been. It's not about the. No, they have made a principal point out of a scientific fact of wearing a mask helps to not spread this shit around. But now it's like a symbol. It's a red hat. If you don't wear a mask, you're about freedom. You're about equal opportunity and independence. And I mean, come on, man.
No mask is the new red hat.
That's the new red hat because it's so thinly veiled that it's insulting. It's insulting to me that they want me to believe that it's really about the fact that it makes it difficult for them to breathe. And it's like, no, it doesn't. No, it does not. You don't wear the mask because you still have your high school gym coach in your head saying, oh, you're going to wear a mask like a fag? Is that what you're doing? Like, it's all in your head, man. Just put the damn mask on. It takes 2 seconds and we all do it. That's the main thing that I'm upset about, is that we can't get on the same page with the mask thing. Half the places I go into don't require it and nobody's wearing one but me, and then I feel like the douchebag outcast. And then the other half, everybody's wearing them. So if I don't walk in there with one, now I'm the aggressor and everybody wants to attack me.
They want to beat your ass.
Let's just do it one way or the other. Masks or no mask, but we do it together. If we want
to be able to enjoy the world, it has to be with masks. Until
I agree with that.
Like Faisal says.
I agree with that. Or we can all just agree together to jump on this grenade and just do it like that. But
no cares.
Let's pick a lane. That's all I'm saying. And everybody walk down that lane together.
Faisal,
it doesn't matter who you voted for.
What'd you say? Sorry.
Did you have some comments, Faisal?
Yeah. I was gonna say, those people you're talking about, Terry, that are saying they don't want to wear a mask, just let them not wear a mask, because that'll help us handle our overpopulation problem.
I think that all the time.
I would love that. I would love that we have a plague.
Fuck these masks, and then RIP such and such who said fuck these masks. That's when I'm like, well, I guess it is survival of the fittest, you know? Like,
I mean,
at the same time, I am terrified for myself. I see these people, they're like in their 30s, you know, I'm 40. So I am terrified. I'm scared, like, I'll have a cough and 2 days later I'll be dead. That's what's really fucking happening. I don't understand why people are acting so entitled to us looking at their ugly faces. I don't know, but it's got to stop, or we are just going to we're going to be stuck in our house till there's a vaccine. It's so simple, but it's not for a lot of people.
Well, that's the part that really bugs me, is that every day that we don't do these things, every day that we dig our heels in and make a big political show out of it, and I'm here for freedom and all that, you're just putting us behind. We're just having to stay in the house longer. Australia's having football games right now because they did things right, and now they get to go back out and do shit again.
Americans are dying to engage in commerce again so bad that, I mean, this was what really stood out to me about it. Florida, it's 4th in the world.
In the world?
In the world.
Wow.
Yep. Next to the United States, Brazil.
Florida is a country. Yeah. I saw that today too.
Oh, that's crazy.
We had like 15,000 cases in one day, and then we opened Disney World.
Which is smart. We're opening up schools too, by the way. Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
Disney World's corporate offices are still closed.
Because they're smart. They know it's not worth it.
Yeah, you can't walk into a gas station without a mask, but let's open fucking Disney World because the log flume has to get going again. It's ridiculous.
I mean, remember, wrestling is essential here, so they're doing something.
Can we all just agree on one thing, and that is, if there was going to be one state with 15,000 new cases, it was always going to be Florida, right? Like, it was going to be us. We were going to fuck this up.
Or Texas.
Or Texas. Yeah, I mean, close second, but still, like, come on, respect the game. Like, nobody does fucked up shit
in
like
Texas,
Florida.
we think Floridians are crazy. I mean, when I was in Texas, they were like, "Are you sure you want to go to Florida? It's Florida."
Yeah, Steve. Natural selection, exactly.
That's right, Steve Thomas.
I think
the only problem is
thing,
they're going to spread it to a dozen people before they die. Go ahead, Faisal.
No, I think one day Florida's going to have it where it gets 50,000 cases a day until they fix it, because there's no more people left to have to give it to them.
It's just going to be really fucked up when our hospitals are overloaded and people can't get actual emergency services that they need. That's
real.
They'll have no choice but to wake up. So, with that said, Faisal, do you have any online appearances you want to promote?
Yes, I do. Wednesday night, I'm going to be doing a podcast with Kel Thompson. We're interviewing a couple of comics from California. And then I have a Zoom show coming up July 31st that I'll be doing with some comics from California, and then my own before as well.
You want to give everybody your social media so that they can add to your followers?
Sure. Follow me on Instagram at Fasalicious and TikTok at I Need Faisal.
Okay. All
We
right,
all need fast hair.
and guys, that's about it. Terry, do you want to give them your media since this is your first time?
Yeah, it's Terry Wayne Comedy on all media platforms. You can find me easily like that. And then we'll see you back here, I guess, next Monday, correct?
That's right. Next Monday at 7, guys. Thank you.
And I'll be yelling and screaming again.
Joining in.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming, Fassy.
Go.
This has been a Gonzo Radio Network production. When the going gets weird, the weird turn pro.